In the early 1960s, entrepreneur, fishing expert, and inventor Charlie White proposed the idea for a unique underwater facility. His idea, pitched as an aquarium in reverse, became one of the most classic tourist attractions to ever line the Pacific coast. The Pacific Undersea Gardens opened at the Oak Bay Marina in 1964. It consisted of a 150-foot tank submerged into the ocean with a second tank nested inside. Visitors descended 15 feet below the surface of the ocean into the inner compartment and peered out through viewing windows into the surrounding aquariums to see marine life native to the Pacific Ocean in their natural environment. Guests felt as though they were descending beneath the waves and completely surrounded by the open ocean without having to don any awkward diving gear. The Pacific Undersea Gardens housed more than 5,000 different species of marine life native to the Pacific coast, including different kinds of fish, crabs, sea stars, anemones, urchins, sea cucumbers, scallops, wolf eels, and the giant Pacific octopus. In one exhibit, fish such as red snapper, rockfish, cabezon, and lingcod swam through a kelp forest and were surrounded by different sea stars, anemones, and crabs. The Undersea Gardens also had a tidal pond full of sea stars and sea anemones where visitors were allowed to gently touch the animals. At one end of the vessel sat the Undersea Theater. Several times a day, the lights would dim, and a pre-recorded narrator would talk about the native marine life, while a scuba diver brought interesting specimens to the viewing windows so guests could get a better look.
Viewed from far out in space, our Earth is a blue-green jewel set in an airless, waterless void. This precious sphere would more rightly be called the planet Ocean. For it was in the ancient sea that all life began, and it is the sea that sustains it still. The fragile and beautiful world.
Just joined, this is Tim, just for your information.
The sea stars appear as truly otherworldly beings. As successful predators which have adapted to life in the deepest abyss or the shallowest shoreline, the sea stars prey on shellfish, sponges, and enemies fish, and other sea stars.
Two of the main attractions in the theater were the wolf eels and the giant Pacific octopus named Armstrong.
The ferocious-looking wolf eel is in fact an elongated fish, sometimes growing to 8 feet in length. Its powerful jaws, equipped with 20 needle-sharp teeth, enable it to eat many hard-shelled creatures, including sea urchins, which it effortlessly crushes, shells, and small. The wolf eel's evil appearance is only skin deep, for they usually eat for life, and even in the wild, are eager to please and play with divers.
The Undersea Theater show was about 20 minutes long, making the total tour time to be around 45 to 60 minutes. When the Oak Bay Marina Gardens opened in 1964, it proved to be a great success and became a popular attraction. After 3 years of successfully pioneering the Undersea Gardens in Oak Bay, British Columbia, a second establishment was opened in Seattle, Washington on June 9th, 1965. A third Undersea Gardens opened in Newport, Oregon during the summer of 1966 and allowed visitors to view marine life native to Yakima Bay. The design of these subsequent attractions was a copy of the original Pacific Undersea Gardens. In June 1969, the popularity of the Pacific Undersea Gardens allowed it to be towed from Oak Bay to Victoria City's Inner Harbor. The space occupied by the Undersea Gardens at Oak Bay was quickly filled with another aquatic attraction, the Sealand Aquarium, later known as Sealand of the Pacific. The Seattle Undersea Gardens closed in April 1969. Just prior to the closure, one of the windows in the aquarium portion of the hull shattered during the night, and all but about 30 fish swam away. Since the gardens was due to close in a week anyway, it just ended up shutting down a little bit early. The Victoria Newport attractions continued to operate for close to 50 years.
While you're in Victoria, descend beneath the sea at the Pacific Undersea Gardens. Come face to face with the wonder and mystery of the underwater world as scuba divers introduce you to the fascinating creatures that inhabit our ocean.
By the early 2000s, the future of the undersea gardens was in jeopardy. The original structure had succumbed to deterioration, and the cost of upkeep was increasing. The undersea gardens had also become old and dated. Owners faced the decision of whether to invest a lot of money into the attraction or close it down. Additionally, visitors' tastes had changed since the undersea gardens was created. Smaller aquariums were being replaced by much larger attractions offering more hands-on experiences. Susan Barcham, spokeswoman for the undersea gardens, stated, "Quite frankly, it's dated, and it would require a significant investment to bring it up to just a basic standard of what we would be proud of." Modern tourists found it difficult to appreciate the experience provided by the gardens compared to newer attractions. Specifically, the Newport Gardens faced competition from the Oregon Coast Aquarium, which had opened across the bay in 1992. The owner of the undersea gardens hired an architect to draw up a contemporary design for a new attraction, but it was never built. The last day of operation for the Victoria Undersea Gardens was on October 17, 2013. Shortly after, the aquarium was removed from Victoria's Inner Harbour and was destined to be turned into scrap metal at the Point Hope Marine Shipyard. However, the Newport Gardens continued to operate until September 8, 2019. As a final farewell leading up to its closure, the public was invited to tour the facility at no cost. Timing of the Newport closure aligned with upcoming renovations to two other Mariner Square attractions, the Ripley's Believe It or Not and the Waxworks. In Newport, the floating structure was towed up the Yakima River to the Port of Newport's International Terminal, where it was scrapped. The Undersea Gardens spent decades teaching tourists about ocean life. They provided a unique insight and education to children and the public about our undersea world. In the end, the Undersea Gardens proved to be a relic of a previous era, and we may never see another similar attraction again in our lifetimes.